It is Friday, April 26th. Happy Friday, everybody. And the Splash Zone is back in your life. I am Matt Modi, and I have 4 more NBA player props for tonight's NBA betting slate for you guys to lock in. 4 plays on the 3 games that we have on tap for tonight. Of course, before we can get into today's picks, we got to do a recap from yesterday, which ended up being another pretty good day. I gave out another 4 picks yesterday. We got 3 of those 4 bad boys to cash. The only play we lost was Evan Mobley over 0.5 3-pointers. He missed his first 2, then he missed another one in the third quarter. Then he got benched because the Cavs were getting blown out. That one was dead on arrival. I honestly might go back to it depending on what the odds are. I haven't looked at that game yet. But we were able to cash Joel Embiid over 1.5 made 3-pointers. We cashed Jalen Brunson over 28.5 points. And we cashed LeBron James over 8.5 assists, giving us a 3-in-1 day, up 1.75 units of profit, which makes it 2 straight days in which we have been in the green. Very good days the last 2 days, which is great because the first couple days of the playoffs were hit or miss. We weren't down prior to this 2-game stretch, or 2-day stretch, I should say, but we were kind of breaking even essentially. So it's nice to kind of get our foot in the ground and get some success going in the playoffs. That brings our total profit on the entire season. We are up over the 118 unit mark of profit, which is incredible. ROI about 19.36%. I would like to get to the 20% ROI, but that is going to be tough to clear. And then our overall record is pretty good as well. Yesterday, admittedly, played a lot of minus money plays, but our overall record, 318 versus 246 losses. A lot of plays that we end up hitting are for plus money, so that's a pretty good win-loss record when you compare to the odds. So it's been a great season overall. It's been a great last 2 days of the playoffs. Let's hope we can continue all of that success moving forward. If you are not already, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and then comment and like on this video specifically. Let me know your thoughts on everything. And then the last thing I'll say before I get into the bangers is that I do have a dub club where I send all my picks out for only $5 a month. It's the same plays that you get both on YouTube and on Twitter. I just have the dub club because not everybody cares about YouTube, or sometimes the odds change by the time people watch the YouTube videos, which the dub club, you kind of send everything out immediately to your phone, so you are able to combat that issue. Only $5 a month, and if you're interested, the link to that is in the description of the video, as well as the pinned comment. But that's enough of that. You're only as good as your most recent bangers, so let's hope we can continue to splash around and get wet. Starting in the Bucks versus Pacers game, I'm taking Damian Lillard under 6.5 assists, minus 130 odds at DraftKings. I went with this play last game. It cashed with relative ease. I'm going right back to it tonight as well. I know the minus 130 odds obviously are not ideal, but I wouldn't be surprised if this play closed at 5.5 assists, or if the odds changed into the minus 150s, something like that. I think that this is going to be a positive CLV play. So I ended up obviously still being comfortable with it, even at the minus 130 odds. And this goes a little bit against my betting strategy where I try to fade recent results. I'm actually doing that with 2 of the plays. I'm not going to be fading recent results. But look at the 2 games that Damian Lillard has played. Now, yes, he has gone under in both, but that's actually not the main reason why I like this under. The reason why is his potential assists are just not there through 2 games. Game 1, he had 3 assists on 11 potential assists. That's admittedly a pretty bad conversion ratio, but you're telling me like 7 assists on 11 potential assists? That would be too good of a conversion ratio, not something that Dame historically does, especially because the Bucks don't take a lot of shots around the rim, especially without Giannis, who's doubtful for tonight. Game 2, he had a more respectable 5 assists, but still only 10 potential assists. So you look at 2 games, 10 potential assists and 11 potential assists. Asking him to get 7 actual assists on only 10 or 11 potential assists, to me, that's just not good enough. That's just not a conversion ratio without a lob threat like Giannis that I think that Dame is going to be able to hit. And this isn't something that's unique to just these 2 playoff games either. And what I mean by that is the Pacers not allowing a lot of assists to point guards. That's been the case the entire season. They will allow high usage players to score a ton of ISO points. Literally, they gave up the most points via isolation in the NBA. They will allow a ton of points to main pick and roll ball handlers. Literally, they allowed the most points per game to pick and roll ball handlers. What that means is those players are scoring and not passing. Dame has blown up through 2 games in the series, the Pacers still won game 2. And even if you look at game 1 in the second half where Dame didn't score at all, he only had 1 assist. So even if you're going to tell me they're playing him differently, that's fine. That playing him differently, that has not correlated to assists for Dame yet. So the Pacers, they just don't give up high assist numbers to high usage players. That's just not how their defense works. And they instead, essentially, they give up points. If you look at the entire season, they literally gave up the fewest amount of assists per game to point guards, which makes sense when you kind of consider everything that I talked about. So even at the minus 130 odds, I think this is the last time we'll get this 6.5 number for Damian Lillard. And if he cashes it with 7 assists on 10 potential assists, I'll probably go right back to his under next game, and we'll probably get a way better price. That's our first play. Next up, we are heading to the Clippers versus Mavericks game, and I'm taking Ivica Zubac over 22.5 points plus rebounds, minus 105 odds at BetMGM. So this is the second play where we are not going to be fading recent results. This one, same with the Damian Lillard one, a little bit goes against my betting strategy. But Zubac has been awesome through 2 games this series, and I'm expecting him to continue to be awesome moving forward, especially with a lot of factors in his favor for tonight. Daniel Gafford for the Mavericks is banged up. He might not play in this game. If Gafford is in, great. Zubac has smoked Gafford through 2 games. If Gafford is out, that makes me like this play for Zubac even more because there's nobody that can bang and hang down low with Zubac. So if Gafford's out, Zubac is just going to dominate the Mavericks in the paint, probably scoring a ton of points in the paint. He also might get a ton of rebounds on the offensive glass as well. And also what I like about Zubac specifically is if the Mavericks decide to go small and say, hey, we're going to stretch you out, we're going to put Maxi Kleber at the 5, we're going to make you guard the perimeter. Cool. Zubac can do that. His minutes will not get he won't get any less minutes is what I'm trying to say here, just because the Mavericks decide to go small. He can hang on the floor while playing small ball. So I don't think he's going to have his minutes decreased if the Mavericks decide to do that. And the Clippers, they just completely stopped playing their other center, Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee was horrible. He was brutal in game 2. Game 1, he played 12 and a half minutes. Game 2, he played about 11 minutes. He played all 11 of those minutes in the first half. Mason Plumlee did not play a single minute of the second half. Instead, Zubac played 20 and a half of the 24 second half minutes. So if you look at 2 games so far for Zubac, he's played 33 and a half and 33 minutes. But again, 20 and a half of those 33 minutes he played in the second half. Now, I'm not saying he's going to play 40 plus minutes, but I do think he'll get above the 33-minute mark that he played in games 1 and 2. I mean, I'm expecting that to increase because of how good he has been and how ineffective Mason Plumlee has been. And if you look at the 2 games, and I buried the lead, saving this part for last, but I wanted to get the analysis out first. Look at the 2 games that Zubac has played so far for the Clippers in this playoff series. 33 combined points plus rebounds in game 1, 25 combined points plus rebounds in game 2, cashing this over PR with relative ease in both of the games. And I expect his minutes to increase in this game tonight. So I really, really like this play for Zubac, even though it's a little bit square. I'm going right back to it. I didn't have this in the first 2 games, but I'm going back to it despite the fact that it's a little bit square. And then that's our second play. Next up, Timberwolves versus Suns game. I'm taking Kevin Durant over 26.5 points, plus 102 odds at DraftKings. So I sent this play out last night. You can actually get better odds right now than what I got it at last night. I'm just going to track what I sent it out to the Dub Club, which was at plus 100. But last I checked, you can actually get this at plus 102 for Kevin Durant. And here's where we are fading recent results. This is exactly what we're doing in this play. We're betting basically the opposite of what just happened. Kevin Durant was awesome in game 1. He scored 31 points. He was amazing. He's the only one on the Suns really that showed up. Game 2, he was not so awesome. Even if you look at his stats from game 2, he was 6 of 15 from the field. He only scored 18 points. That does not look good, admittedly. And a lot of this is just eye test body language nonsense. So if you want to call this nonsense, that's fine. But I watched game 2. In the fourth quarter, when the game got out of hand, Kevin Durant looked like the only one that was showing some sort of signs of life, that he actually was trying to get his team to get back on track. He was the only one that was being aggressive for his shot, calling for the ball, trying to get his shot off. Unlike Devin Booker, who looked like he was just completely uninterested, completely rattled. I don't know if it was just the Timberwolves' length and aggression. Devin Booker just doesn't think it's his matchup. I don't know if there's something where he's just unhappy with Durant or Beal or the team or whatever. But you compare just how the two players, their aggression in the fourth quarter, it's night and day between Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Now, if I really wanted to fade recent results, I would go back to Devin Booker. But I was completely scared off of what I saw from him in games 1 and 2, where at least, like I said, Kevin Durant showed some signs of life. And Kevin Durant has played well in this series. In game 1, he scored 31 points on 17 shots. In game 2, as I mentioned, he only scored 18 points on 15 shots, 6 of 15 from the field. Absolutely fading recent results with this Kevin Durant play. I would expect him to shoot significantly better in game 3, going back home, being down 2-0. I would also expect him to shoot pretty decently above the 15 attempts that he shot in game 2 as well. And I know this next stat I'm going to give is not perfect, obviously, going back to last year. But if you just look at the playoff games that Kevin Durant has played as a member of the Suns, he's gone over 26.5 points in 8 of 13 games. One game he missed, he had exactly 26. If we got hooked tonight, that would not be very fun. And then another game that he went under, he scored exactly 25 points. So not quite the hook, but still one basket away from cashing this bad boy. So I'm betting that Kevin Durant shows up in game 3, willing the Suns to a victory against the Timberwolves. I'm going away from Devin Booker, who I was on last game. Probably means Devin Booker's going to blow up. Hopefully that also means Kevin Durant does as well as our third play. Lastly, our fourth and final pick of the video, Luka Doncic over 9.5 assists, plus 110 odds at BetRivers. I really liked the odds here at plus 110. It's best offered at BetRivers by far if you just compare them to the rest of the sports books, and it's been this way overnight. I locked this in last night at plus 110, still plus 110 when I woke up this morning. The last thing I did before I went live or before I recorded was check all the odds. So these were all active last I checked, and that's the best I can do. And it's a really good price at BetRivers compared to every other book. Now this is another play where we are fading recent results. And this one is admittedly going to feel a little bit scary and take a little bit of a leap of faith. So Luka has missed this in both games so far this season. Game 1, the Mavericks scored 8 points in the second quarter. They scored 30 points in the first half. It was just a bad offensive game overall from the Mavericks. Did not even get close to 10 assists. In game 2, he did come close to getting 10 assists. He had 9 assists, but more importantly, he had 18 potential assists. That is a conversion ratio, 50%, that I would expect to increase as the series goes on. And 18 potential assists is more in line with what we saw from Luka to end the season and just what we see from Luka as a high usage, not necessarily usage by exact definition of shots and free throws, just usage as in is how often he has the ball in his hands and how often he's creating the offense. And, game 2, that 9 assists on 18 potential assists, that was still a gross game where the Mavericks didn't even score 100 points. And what we saw in yesterday's games was that the scoring was up a little bit. The Magic had their best scoring game by far. The Sixers game was incredibly high scoring as well. So we saw offenses pick it up a little bit in the game 3 of the series. Now, whether that will translate to tonight, we don't know. But what I am saying is I just don't expect this to be another game in which both teams score in the 90s. And more scoring, that just means for more potential assist opportunities for Luka Doncic, obviously. And as I mentioned, that 50% conversion ratio, that's something I want to fade. Luka has a better conversion ratio over his entire career on the season, recently, all that stuff. Now, if you look at his hit rate specifically against the Clippers, I will admit that it's not the ideal matchup that you want to target. This is really just a play based on Luka Doncic playing more minutes than he normally does play. Obviously, it's the playoffs. Him controlling things even more than he normally does with it being a playoff game. And that 18 potential assists last game is something that I think you can count on game over game. With the Mavericks going back home, role players are going to make more shots off of Luka. He's going to dime some folks up, hopefully cash out our last play, cash out this plus money banger. And that's all we got. 4 plays for you guys to lock in. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my Dub Club for $5 a month if you're interested in having everything sent directly to your phone. Again, for $5 a month, but that's all we got. Appreciate everybody for watching and have a good one.